All righty. Well, so hopefully today will be a little shorter because what you see in chapter 8 of Romans is you see that there are sections. And within each section, there is a focus on a certain concept. And so I decided that I am not going to blend concepts. We're going to just take them one group at a time. So that's what we're going to do today. Is we're going to focus on this one group of scriptures. That's why we're in Romans 8. We've been in there now, 3 Sundays? And we're probably going to be this Sunday and 2 more Sundays before we finish the chapter. It's so packed with information. But you'll notice here I had put on the screen, I'd put on that 10 plus 1. And I'm still talking about getting T-shirts made and putting on there 10 plus 1, which is the 10 commandments plus 1. Jesus said, a new commandment I have given unto you, that you love one another. Love one another. Can you imagine going into some of these environments? Gaza, for example, under its current rule of Hamas, can you walk in and can you imagine going in and saying, Hamas, let's just love one another. What if we just love one another? How about if we just love? How about if we encourage people? How about if we show care and compassion and empathy towards people? That is not a part of their mindset at all. They would, if you even could get in their presence, and if you could say that to them, they'd probably off with his head. Love, grace, mercy, long suffering, patience. Now we don't want any of that. All right, so today we're going through Romans chapter 8, picking up verse 18. For I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory that is to be revealed to us. Throughout history, people have, for all time, I think, people have asked a couple of questions. One, why do bad things happen to good people? Why do bad things happen to good people? And some people have been under the misconception that when I accepted Jesus as my Savior, that then from that moment on, it would be a bed of roses. There will never be any more problems. There will never be any more challenges. There will never be any more grief, sadness, or loss. Well, I'm sorry to say, or not sorry to say, but the fact is, life goes on. And life has all of these pieces in it. However, how we deal with these things as a believer in Jesus is way different than the way the world does. How we deal with death is completely different. We deal with it with a realization that what you've done is you've actually stepped in out of this unreality into reality. You're actually stepping into the presence of God. You're actually stepping into reality. So in one sense, I think it's a true statement to say, you don't die. Your physical frame may take its last breath, but you're not done. You actually are elevated. You step into a higher reality, into a higher place of truth. And so when this body, this tent takes its last breath, it really isn't death. It's actually freedom. You've just been set free from the constraint of this physical body into a place where there are no constraints, where there is no illness, sickness, disease, pain, or sorrow. It ends, it stops. That's a promotion. So our perspective on these life events is very different than the way the world treats us. We were watching a show last night, and the man was saying, so we were watching Laura Trump last night, and we were listening to a man who is a survivalist. He was in special forces in another nation. But what was fascinating, TVE, supernatural problem solving, what's the very first step in supernatural problem? What's the first thing you do? What? Stop. So here we are, listening to this guy.
Bear Grylls?
Bear Grylls. That's what it is. That's what he's a survivalist. But what was interesting, here is this survivalist, here is this special forces guy, and he says, when you're confronted with a problem, the first thing you do is stop. We've been teaching this for years. In problem solving, when that crisis comes at you, stop. Do nothing. Take a deep breath. Take a look around. Observe your circumstances. Find out where God's at. Find Jesus and where he's at in the midst of it. That's the first thing you do. So anyway, this guy on the show last night, it was so funny to hear him. And he said, the first thing you do is stop. Yeah, and it's kind of I'm not sure if I can put this into words, but when we think about Jesus, we think about Christianity or a religion. I know that people are in their brains, atheist, non-believers, they're trying to process this to some point of rationality. How do I process this information into something? How can I dismiss it rationally? Everybody, there's all these boxes. So we got a psychology box and how life is defined through the filter of psychology. Then you've got all these religions. We got Buddhism and Islam and so forth, go on and on and on and on. And so you got all these boxes, and you kind of get settled in your own heart and mind with finding out which box this goes into. Then you get with Christianity, it's the same thing. You want to find a box you can put it into equal with all the other boxes. And yet you hear these people describe things that no other religion describes. A complete change of character and personality and how you live life and how you do life and I was thinking in a way how practical Christianity really is. It's very practical. I mean, let's think about it. Love. Are we good with love? Everybody but Hamas. Are we good? Yeah. Do we want to be happy? How many people want to be happy? Okay, you guys go over here. All you people that want to be sad, miserable, and depressed, you guys go over there. And then you hear these people describing happiness and joy and comfort and peace. It doesn't fit in any of those boxes. It stands out unique from every other box. I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory that is to be revealed through us. So we want to know, why do bad things happen to good people? Because it rains on the just and the unjust. Because of the fallen world we live in, because of sin that came in that affected everything. It affected human beings, our biology. It affected the world around us. Everything was affected. And so we are affected by this fallen world. So another question people ask is, why me? Why do I have to go through this? Why am I going through this? Why do I have cancer? Why do I have this illness or that illness? A lot of times people ask, why me? And the fact is, what we've learned is the number one question I stopped asking a long time ago is why. I stopped asking that question a long time ago. What I ask is, what does this mean and what should I do? What does this mean and what should I do? That's the question. That is the right question. The why questions get you nowhere, just get you going in circles, and there's never a never-ending circle. But when you say, what does this mean, God, and what should I do? Jesus, where are you at in my problem? Where are you at in this problem? And what are you doing in the problem so that I can do the same thing? Ooh, that's huge right there. Jesus, where are you at in my problem, my challenge, drama, my catastrophe? Jesus, where are you at? And I think another question is, and what are you doing about it so that I can connect with you and do what you're doing? That's different, see? That is very different than how the world deals with issues. And what I've shared many, many times, but probably one of the key phrases that I learned so many years ago, don't waste your sorrows. Don't waste your sorrows. Every challenge that comes at us, every sorrowful thing, every problem, every pain, every rejection, every abandonment, every betrayal, all of these things that come because life happens and people happen, don't waste your sorrows. Okay, Lord, where do I go from here? Okay, there's the problem, there's the challenge. Where do I go from here now with you in the midst of this. There are individuals who can say, I've heard there are people that had the Whipple procedure like myself, who went through cancer like myself. And what you hear them say is, yeah, I got by. I'm glad that's over. Next. What did you learn? Learn? Didn't learn anything. I'm just glad it's over. So what did you gain? Did you gain anything as a result of that experience? And they look at you like, are you nuts? Gain? I'm alive. That's it. I can honestly say that experience changed my life forever. What I learned about myself, about marriage, about Cheryl, about love, about God, about the Bible, what I learned through that experience, I have to say, I really believe what God did. He took 100 years of knowledge, 100 years of wisdom, and he squeezed it down into a couple years of surviving cancer. I'm telling you what, I believe I stand here today with most of the revelation that's coming through my heart and my life is because of what he did through that experience. Don't waste your sorrows. Getting angry and bitter and getting wrapped up in those questions. Why? Why me? Why did this bad thing happen? Why is this bad thing happening to me? Because I'm a good person. This shouldn't be happening to me. I don't understand why this is happening to me. It's a waste of time. Don't waste your sorrows. Jesus, where are you at in this situation? And what are you doing? And then you come and sit down with him and say, well, I'm glad you asked. And you begin to navigate that challenge from a whole different perspective. There is a glory yet to be revealed, and that glory that is revealed is when we step through that veil into his presence. And then I am so confident when we step through that veil into his presence, everything's going to make sense. Now I know why you brought that person in my life. Now I know why that happened. Now I know why it took so long to get to this point. It's like, I think there's just going to be this blast of revelation that's just going to be like, I get it. And then you're able to look at him and go, you knew what you were doing all along, Jesus. You knew what you were doing the whole time. You had a plan. And he's just sitting there probably with a big smile on his face. Yup. 19 through 20 says, for the anxious longing of the creation. Do you realize the entire creation? I'm going to see if I can try to put this into words. All of creation, the things of this world, the entire universe is longing for a generation of blameless, holy, righteous sons and daughters of the King to arise and throw off this evil world system and consecrate themselves wholly to God and his purposes out of love. Let me say that again. All creation, the grass, the trees, the planets, the birds. Do you know the birds are under a curse? The birds came under a curse. When you look at Genesis, it says that the birds are afraid of us. It says right there, the birds are afraid of it. It's a part of the curse. I've gone out there a few times and went, birds, I break that curse. You don't have to be afraid of me. Of course, it'd be fine to be standing there and all of a sudden you got birds landing on you all over the place. But they're under a curse. This whole universe, weeds and bugs and spiders. I don't know why God made spiders. To feed the bird. That's true. I guess they have a purpose for something. All of these difficulties, illness, sickness, is because of the curse. All of creation, the things of this world and the entire universe, is longing for a generation of blameless, holy, righteous sons and daughters of King Jesus to arise and throw off this evil world system, consecrating themselves wholly to God and his purposes out of love. Y'all, not hate, not bitterness, not wishing evil upon others. That stuff, that behavior, I want to tell you something where it comes from. It comes from the pit of hell. That's where it comes from. And if you're in agreement with it, then who are you in agreement with? If Satan is the instigator of all that evil that we see in the world around us, and you're in agreement with it, who are you in agreement with? Wake up. Repent. I know it's an old word. It's passé. Or we used to talk about sin. Well, it still exists. And we either are in submission to the Lord or submission to the enemy of our souls. Which one are you? All of creation waits eagerly for the revealing of the sons of God, for the creation was subjected to futility, not willingly, but because of him who subjected it in hope. God said, this curse is coming on this earth, but I have hope that one day it will change. Romans 8:21, the creation itself also will be set free from its slavery to corruption into the freedom of the glory of the children of God. You know, I don't know if you ever saw the movie or read the book, C.S. Lewis, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. What you see in there is that the witch had put over Narnia a perpetual winter because she had taken over Narnia, the world. But then there was a day when that stopped. And if you've ever seen the movie, you see where all of a sudden springtime begins to come. The snow begins to melt and springtime comes. Well, in a lot of ways, this world is in a perpetual winter. And God is about to bring a righteous springtime to remove this darkness and this evil. And this is the thing, when I was meditating on this today, what occurs to me is when we look at the grass, that grass doesn't look anything like it's supposed to look if there was no curse. Just take a moment. The plants out here, the trees, these do not look anything like they're supposed to look if the curse wasn't on them. Even the planets, the moon, that does not look like it's supposed to look if the curse wasn't here. If you reverse that curse completely, I can all of a sudden I just can imagine sort of an AI thing. All of a sudden the grass turns brilliant green. The trees all of a sudden they turn a depth of browns and shades of brown like you'd never imagined. This whole world, everything would change once if you remove that curse. Does that make sense? No weeds. No weeds. We'd have dandelions though, because they're good for you. There is a reality of beauty we have never seen. As this world lies under the curse, what was on earth before sin, the sin event, Adam and Eve, they were in paradise. Paradise. Every time you hear that word paradise, pretty much all the religions have some concept of paradise. And you could ask any one of them, describe, what would that mean? It would be the place of absolute beauty in all respects. There would be life and vibrance, paradise, not too hot, not too cold. Perfect. A perfect atmosphere. No bad aromas. Thank you, Sugar Factory. No bad aromas. Nothing but beauty. Can you imagine you walk outside and you feel light? You don't feel like gravity is pulling you down, making you feel weighty and heavy. All of a sudden you're walking along and you just feel light on your feet. And all you can smell is just everywhere you turn, you smell another beautiful smell or aroma. You turn another direction, it's completely different. And then you'll notice one other thing is somewhere, if you're really totally quiet for a moment, there's music. And then you walk over to a tree and you're like, the tree has music. And then you walk over to a rose bush and you're like, it has music. It's a completely different sound, but all of a sudden you're in this atmosphere of joy that is you've never known. That's paradise. Creation itself longs to be set free from the curse that it came under, to death, which is corruption, into the freedom of the glory of the children of God. That the winter, the perpetual winter that is rested upon this earth for at least 6,000 years, that winter is over and the spring is about to come. And Jesus is the one that is bringing that springtime to remove this death completely off the earth. I want to be there to celebrate that. I certainly do not want to be locked away for eternity in a place of absolute absence of light and love. And again, this is one of those archaic words that we used to use a lot back in the day. It became passé over the years. Hell is the absence of God. It is the absence of light. It is the absence of love. It's the absence of warmth. It's the absence of comfort. It's the absence of joy. I don't want to go there. No hope. Forever. You have an opportunity to not be there, but to be in this glorious paradise, because that's really what happened with Adam and Eve. They were living, it was heaven on earth. That was paradise. It was heaven on earth. It was the kingdom of God on earth, and they were enjoying this incredible place. That is going to be restored. It will be paradise on earth. Romans 8:22. For we know that the whole creation is groaning and suffering the pains of childbirth together until now. How do we see the earth creation in childbirth? Part of the way is because of the earthquake, are like birth pangs or contractions. The whole of creation is going through contractions, waiting for the birthing of the sons and daughters of God, that this era of existence stops and a whole new era begins. And this is the funny thing too, is like, I had this thought is, can you imagine having this, I believe we're still going to be working. I do. I believe we're going to work, because the first thing, what did God do? One of the very first things he did, he said, Adam, breathe. Adam's alive, he's breathing, and he goes, great, now go to work. Going to work, having tasks, was a part of his plan, always have been. That's why if you are able-bodied, you need to be working. You've got to be working. You need to be working. We were created as human beings to work, to do something, some job, some effort, something. For some people, it's, I had a military commander one time of my base, and one of the things that she used to say, one of her favorite phrases was, you know what, you're a rock with lips. That's one of her favorite phrases. She would get a hold of some guy that was just acting goofy, or he just wasn't meeting her expectations, and she'd look at him and say, you know what, you're just a rock with lips. And I got to thinking about it. I said, you know what, Lord? I'm a rock with lips. I have a job to do, and part of my job is to speak. That may not be your job, but that's part of my job. That's part of my destiny. And I'm always very short spoken. I repent. For the whole earth groans and suffers the pains of childbirth together until now. It's almost there. We're almost to the birthing of this new reality. But back again, I thought, I could just imagine. Can you imagine getting up, doing your job with absolute freedom? Just absolute freedom. You just love to go do it. I do that because I love to do that. That's my job. That's the thing that I just love doing this job. So where was Adam at? He was in the garden hoeing. I just realized he was out there raking in the garden. He was cultivating the garden. He was working. I believe once the Lord does return and we move into that new era, everything is going to change around us, but we're going to have jobs to do, tasks. But we'll be doing those things from a completely different perspective. I don't know what all that means yet. All right, for we know that the whole creation groans and suffers the pains of childbirth together until now. The earth is going through contractions, and I can only describe, having been there for 5 of them, actually a stepdaughter as well, so probably at least 7 times I've been there for a birthing, and I can tell you there's those points where it's just contract, and it's hard.
I figured out how to describe it. It's like a Jeep with these big wheels coming over on your stomach, and then it rolls off. And then 5 minutes later, it comes rolling over your stomach. You can cut this part out. I couldn't imagine like a car parked on.
The earth is in contractions, waiting for the revealing, the birthing of the sons and daughters of God in holiness, righteousness, and so that's what's going on. And whenever these earthquakes happen in particular, it's like the whole earth is just going, boom, contract, release. And not only this, but also we ourselves, having the first fruits of the Spirit within ourselves, we groan within ourselves, waiting eagerly for our adoption as sons and the redemption of our body. What this is really talking about is there's a part inside of us, correct me if I'm wrong, that goes, I don't want to hurt anymore. My toe hurts. My hands hurt. My head hurts. I got a cough. I got a pain. I got a backache. I'm groaning. I want to be out of this into a body that feels no pain. There is no pain. So there's really, there is a groaning within our own bodies. It's like all of these things. There's a groan. I want to be set free from it. And what this is referencing in particular is the adoption process finalized to the giving of a new body, the redemption of this body into a new body, the groaning to be set free from this limitation. I had a vision also one time where there was millions and billions of people, and I was standing in the middle of them having a conversation with somebody. I don't know, it was Isaiah maybe or Paul, and all of a sudden you just have this thought in your head, I wonder how mom's doing. Boink! And you are instantly in the presence of your mother or your whoever, somebody. I want to go see somebody. Boink! You are instantly in their presence and having a conversation. I thought, well, that's cool. This body can't do that. A new body will be able to do many things. This mortal temporal body, susceptible to sickness, pain, and cold, will be set free. We'll have new bodies free of all of those things. No aging. This is referencing the body, the completion of the adoption process, if you will. We're completing the adoption process. We've gone through all the adoption paperwork, but now we get to go to the house. You are adopted, and you get a new name, you get a new family, and you get a new body. All right, Romans 8:24 through 25, for in hope we have been saved. But hope that is seen is not hope. For who hopes for what they already see? But if we hope for what we do not see, with perseverance, we wait eagerly for it. Perseverance. We stay in it. We stay active. It just blows me away when I'm watching the TV program and I hear a woman say, I used to be a Christian. How do you used to be? Now, I will accept, I used to go to a church building with a creed and orthodoxy, and I stopped doing that. I can get. But to say I once knew Jesus and now I don't want to know him, how do you unknow Jesus? I can't even imagine. Like I said before, I think is that for that to happen to me, you'd have to do a personality-ectomy, or a characterectomy. How do you stop that? Once you have known his love and you have been in submission to his authority, knowing he's the boss, you've experienced that, his leading, his wisdom, his revelation, his love, his care. How can you unknow that? I can't even imagine. But we persevere in this hour and in this time, understanding it isn't a bowl of cherries all the time. There are challenges. Yes, this happens or that challenge, or somebody comes into your life that's thank you for this opportunity to grow in patience and love. Perseverance. We don't give up. We have found a place. We have planted ourselves. We have set our roots deep in faithfulness and perseverance. We are not giving up. We are not going back. We have come way too far now to be talked out of this. No one's going to talk us out of it. What is hope? Hope, I think we can all identify with hope. We know what it means to feel hope. We certainly know what it feels like to be hopeless. We know what hopelessness feels like. It's miserable. We know what hope is. But hope is the material substance of faith. Faith grows in that atmosphere of hope. I have absolute hope that this will end well. No matter what my situation is, I have hope it will end well. Hope is the substance or that which creates a conviction. When hope becomes a conviction, I know my God is going to take care of that. What is the fruit of hope or conviction? Faith. It says in Hebrews 11. Hope is the substance of faith. Where's faith come from? It comes because I have hope. Where did hope come from? Because of the Word. When I take the Word, which produces faith, which produces hope, which produces a conviction, which is substance, it's real and tangible, it becomes faith and mountains move. For hope, if you could see it, then you don't need hope. I'm going to give you a new car. Well, immediately in your head, you're like, new car. I can imagine a new car. I have hope, but you don't have it yet. Then someone hands you the keys. Now you have a new car. That hope becomes realized. When it comes to the keys of the kingdom, all of those things we talked about, that paradise, we have been given the keys. And it's in the Bible. And all those keys are right there. Yep, and now you've got it. Now you know it's true. And that's like holding the Bible in your hand. That's the key. Everything he promised, I can pick this up and I know it's mine, and now I'm going to experience it. But it produces that faith then, and that faith is where you rise up and now you attack the problem. You attack it because you know where Jesus is at, he's in it, and now you have the confidence and the willpower and the strength and the fortitude and the courage to go and do action because you are next to Jesus. How'd you get next to Jesus? Because you entered into the yoke. I'm in the yoke with Jesus. And because I'm in it with him, he's doing the heavy lifting, pulling, but I'm right beside him doing what he does. The mature ox teaches the immature ox how to plow. And we're next to Jesus learning how to plow.